look, it was a tough time, and look, it was a hard time, but also it was good to operate on the other side of the scale.
Which means?
You're running your business from bare minimum.
Welcome to another episode of my podcast, Season 6, filming in Sydney with a good friend of mine, Andrew. Thanks for being on the podcast.
Hello, Chris. Thanks for having me, buddy.
Now, I've known you for over 30 years. You've been in hospitality now for how long?
Oh, mate, it's been a good 20 years, I'd say, 25 years, I'd say, yeah.
You're always an amazing operator. People might say it's biased,
Thank you.
but you were running as a manager at Hurricanes.
Correct, for a while.
Always
yeah.
very, very good. Great with hospitality. Could always work a venue. Always very hospitable to most people. Not me, but to most people, I guess you always have been. Around about 2013, 2014, you started a very successful cafe here in Pyrmont.
Correct.
Called Social Brew. It's also won awards. What was voted one of the best in Australia? Correct?
Yeah, so we were very lucky, actually. We got voted number one cafe in Australia. I think there was about 5,000 restaurants participating, and so we were number one cafe on TripAdvisor, which was voted by all our guests from all over the world. And yeah, we definitely saw a big boom after that. And there was just people coming from everywhere and all sorts of countries, and yeah, it was just amazing.
To say super proud, like I went to school with you back in Cyprus at the grammar school. I don't know if it helped either of us, being a private English school. But to see how well you're doing and the success, I always knew you were great at hospitality, but to run a cafe and to get that massive accolade, for me, it makes me very, very proud, and I'm sure you and your family as well.
Yeah, thank you.
So in 2013, here you are, you've won this massive award. What makes a good venue in your opinion? Because there's a lot of great cafes in Australia, in Sydney particularly. Yeah. What makes the venue stand out in your opinion?
Oh, mate, look, to be honest, there's a couple of things. Obviously, good vibes, good staff, and most important, produce and quality of food. 100%. People want to get what they pay for, especially in this day and age where, prices are quite high. I mean, the quality has to be there, followed by an amazing team that goes above and beyond to, know the regulars, learn their names and so on, and say hello. And these are people that we see every day. So it's very important that, our team goes out there and makes them feel like they're at home, basically.
So you obviously, I know you're very hands-on when it comes to finding good produce.
100%.
I know cooking's very important. You're a very, very good cook yourself. How do you go about cultivating a great culture, finding and maintaining great stuff?
Mate, this has been a challenge, obviously, starting from zero where I've never had a business before to, being in business for so many years now. Well, what makes good staff? Mate, you have to look after them. You've got your staff and then you've got your staff. So you've got a team of people that obviously they're on the front line, but then you've also got a team of people that represent me. And obviously, one thing that I definitely learned, Chris, is, you have to look after your staff, mate, because without your staff, you're nothing.
There's no team, there's no culture.
Absolutely.
So you're always very good with that because you're very good with people, which transfers across all industries. So even back in your day when you were working at Hilton.
Yes.
I think you were running the bar back then.
I was working in the bar, correct, yes.
So you always got to be very, very good with people, but it takes the skill set to another level where you have to hire a team and train a team, especially in an industry like hospitality. People are very transient. They don't stay very long.
Well, that's the thing, and that's a big issue for us. Obviously, when you have high turnover, you're constantly wasting time training people and, all this sort of stuff. So good processes have to be in place. But as far as that goes, mate, you try to keep the people as much as you can. So we're very lucky to be able to sponsor people as well, give them the ability to stay in Australia. Obviously, Australia is one of the best countries in the world. Let's not beat around the bush. So we try to go that way. But on top of that, we just look after them. We treat them like family, mate. It's a very simple formula. Like we started off.
If it's done well, it's a simple formula.
Correct. Yes. But, you treat them like family, you treat them with respect, you tell them how good they're doing. And at the end of the day, mate, they're looking after your business, And
you're very hands-on too. So even today we're at, you've got a second venue now and this is a venue that I know means a lot to you because you used to work at Hurricanes, which is a fantastic grill store, which is national store now.
Correct.
I go there with my kids. I go to the one at Gold Coast as well. I started going to the one first on Darling Harbour, and now they've opened quite a few branches.
Yes. Yeah. Look, Hurricanes has always been close to my heart. I worked for Hurricanes for 10 years, and I learnt a lot through there. I mean, it was a family-operated restaurant to begin with. I started working with them when they were just the first restaurant in Bondi, and I was just amazing working with the owners, working with the wives of the owners and the managers, and I definitely learnt a lot. And it was always close to my heart, and I'm very blessed to have the opportunity to sort of represent their brand and just try my best.
Oh, look, it's an amazing brand, but they're also very lucky to have someone like you representing it. You did meet a significant, yes, very special person at Hurricanes. You met a lot of special people, one specifically, which ended up marrying as well.
She's stuck with me for a while now. It's been 15 years we're together, but it's been a good ride.
15 years and 2 kids, the poor lady. I know her too,
I know.
She's amazing. But going back to obviously opening up a second venue, and I know you're quite fortunate that they're very close, and I know you hop between both venues. How important is it, do you think, for an owner to be involved in their operations?
Oh, mate, without being hands-on, to be honest, Chris, especially in this day and age, mate, like, it's very hard. It's very hard. I still see myself as a small business operator. I don't see myself as on a bigger scale. And like you need to be there, not only for your business, but to support your team as well. They obviously, when you're there, they feel more comfortable as well. So believe it or not, like, usually when owners are there, everything's probably doesn't go as well. In my case, my staff, I feel like they're happy to see me because I'm a hands-on person and I just make their job easier.
And you're humble. You lead from the front. There's a big difference.
Look, I don't micromanage. I let them do their thing, and if anything, I just get on the tools and I just make their job easier. That's all I do.
You lead by example.
100%.
So you think it's very, very important that, and you take it from anyone who goes to hospitality. How much more comfortable do you feel when you walk into an establishment, the owner's there?
Yeah, no, definitely.
The food's better, the service is better,
and
and everyone's more upbeat.
Of
it
course.
Just makes such a difference knowing that the owner's there. And then obviously over years you develop a relationship with the owner, with the managers, with the team.
100%. And it's always good to jump out there. How was your meal? They always feel special when your customers, you go and check up on them, make sure everything was okay. It's those extra steps that we do where it makes their meal memorable.
Those 1%ers that make a difference. So obviously when you go to a venue, you got to look at the service, you got to look at the produce and the food, and you got to look at the ambience, the location. So you got to think of all 3 aspects.
Yes.
So what advice would you give, Andrew, someone who's thinking of going into hospitality?
Don't do it.
I knew you'd say that. It is one of the hardest businesses. When I see people like yourself, my father used to own a supermarket, and it's very arduous when you're working hospitality yourself. Another one of our close friends owns many, many shops, charcoal chicken shops, fish and chip shops.
Yeah.
And it is relentless on your body. You got to work all day. It's a very, very hard gig to make $1.
It is. Look, it's got to be in your blood, Chris. It definitely has to be in your blood. You got to be a people's person. You got to be a foodie, and you got to know the back and the front of house. You got to know it.
And what do you mean by back and front for our listeners? What do you mean by back and front?
Well, mate, you need to know whether, you need to jump in the kitchen, have a look at your fridge and make sure those lettuce are crispy or the chicken is fresh. Like you just need to know.
So you need to know both the produce, what's going on in the kitchen, but also what we see as clients, as customers, as patrons, is the service.
100%.
Is you walking out with a meal, but we don't see the back end of that, which is your kitchen.
Yes.
Which is they're both equally important.
Definitely. So yeah, mate, I just think that I couldn't run my businesses without being here. Although my staff are amazing, it doesn't feel right for me.
Because you're hands-on?
Because I'm hands-on, correct. Now, but being hands-on and from when I first started working is a totally different thing. So first I had to learn how to manage, how to let go of the business and how to let other people manage it for me.
Is that the trust part you were talking about before?
Yeah. So that's a different thing altogether, Chris. Like first 6-7 years of running the cafe, I was there breakfast and lunch every day, 7 days a week. I was there.
I remember.
But, you know, it's hard to let go. It's your baby. It's your first business. It's you know, it's
People
your
don't
income.
understand that. It's like one of your children. You put that much love and care into a business.
Yeah. And then, you know, and it takes a while to build that team. But, you know, like it's very important to let go at some point. Let go. Let the staff that you trust manage it for you. And then you just oversee.
I want to ask you a question. So you started that business just over 10 years ago.
Yeah.
This business started approximately how long?
1 year ago.
So
About a year ago.
If I was to ask you the percentage of time you spend in this shop versus the cafe, what would it be?
Percentage at the moment?
Yeah.
100%.
Here? Really?
Yeah. Although I'm still overlooking that business, my team is just all over it. I mean, I pop in, I say hello, and for the cafe at the moment, that's enough. Obviously, being a new venue, we need to be here. We need to build the clientele. We need to build the team. But mate, I've just got amazing kids there that they do the job.
And I popped in as a surprise for Melbourne to say hello to you. I went to the cafe first.
That's right. Yeah.
And then the staff greeted me very friendly. And I came here and then I saw some of the staff actually help on both ends, which is a very big thing.
Cross-training is very important as well. You never know. Sometimes, you know, people are sick.
One person's sick, needs a time off.
Most of my staff, I'd say probably about 70% of the staff are cross-trained.
Across both venues?
Both venues, yeah.
But also they can pick up more hours too that way.
Absolutely, and that works very well for them too. You know, sometimes, they want a couple of extra shifts. No worries. Jump in here, get the job done. Yeah.
So obviously at the moment, both of your venues are doing fantastic. What's on the horizons for yourself? What do you see yourself doing? Because obviously running one venue is challenging, but running two venues obviously gets even more challenging. I think,
look, 23, 24 has been a very big year.
Yep.
With some private projects as well. I'm sure you know.
Yep.
But I think it's time to let the kids run it. I think it's time to step back a little bit now, focus on the family a little bit. As we said, it was a crazy year. Although, mate, look, we're always on the hunt. We're always on the hunt to grow. I think what's important now is family time.
Of course, because you've got two young kids as well.
Correct, yes.
Which I'm looking forward to. I haven't seen them for a while, so looking forward to coming and seeing them tonight.
Little Noah and little Sienna, yep.
So going into hospitality, some of your key things you'll tell people to look out for, whether it be starting their own business or working, would be what are you looking for when you're looking at employing someone?
Mate, to be honest, I personality for me is a big one. I mean, obviously experience, yes, but you can teach people how to carry a plate or how to, make a drink or, whatever it's going to be. You can't teach people to have a good personality and be bubbly and fun and, so we try to make it as fun as we can.
So that's attitude, really. You can't really teach attitude, can you?
No.
And hospitality, like I'm in real estate, as you know, it's not for everyone.
No, it's not. Yeah. Just like every job, mate, it's not for everyone. And, for me, it's like I click the button when I come to work and turn on the smiles and just love doing it.
Of course, you've been in this game now for
way too long.
Honestly, Andrew, I've known you for almost 30 years. I don't see you doing anything else.
No, I don't see myself doing anything else, mate, to be honest.
Obviously, it's very, very good to carry friendships for 30 years. So we first met in Cyprus. Do you even remember the year?
Oh, my God. It would have been 1994. Take a guess.
So close to 30 years ago. And our friendship group spans across 3 locations, I think. Well, a majority, which is in London, Sydney, and Melbourne. You're the only one from Sydney.
Say America too, but yeah.
Oh, sorry, and America. Sorry. So 3-4 groups where we've all spanned it off. We all still keep in touch, which is amazing.
It's amazing, mate.
We built some of our best friendships in Cyprus, but to bring them over here, I think has been it's been awesome.
And obviously, Aussies stuck with the Aussies, and mate, it's so special to have people that you take a bullet for. You know what I mean? And it's fulfilling having good friends that mate, we grew up together.
I remember years ago.
Most of our life has been together.
I remember years ago I set up an office in Sydney, and I never like to impose on people, but you're like all of us. You want to give and you want to make sure you look after people. And I remember you called me and you go, "Where are you?" I go, "I'm in Sydney." She goes, "What are you doing?" I was at a hotel because I was here 4 days every 2 weeks. You go, "Why aren't you staying at my house?" I said, "I don't want to impose."
Classic, Chris.
And you set up a bedroom for me. You set up Fox Sports as well.
Did I charge you?
No,
for
you did charge me.
Oh,
yeah.
good.
You wouldn't charge me. There's no way. But it's always good to help each other go through the ranks. All of us are doing well in our respective fields, which is always good to see.
Yeah, 100%.
We don't see each other as much as we used to, I guess. But those years were for me, 9 to 16 in Cyprus were probably the most formative years of my life, where I've enjoyed my life the most, built long-lasting friendships. Now all of us have kids.
And
all of us are married.
Man. Great memories.
Some of us are divorced.
Just a few of us.
Some of us. That was me, basically. But I think that probably someone might have predicted that anyway.
Oh, mate, it's all good, buddy. You know,
so
it's life.
It is life. So going back to the future plans for Hurricanes or Social Brew, be to keep growing your brand, to keep expanding.
Most definitely.
And you're always going to be hands-on.
Always on the hunt.
Always on the hunt for new venues. Do you see yourself opening more Hurricanes or more Social Brews, or could be anything?
At this stage, it could be anything. To be honest, there's a few people that I would like to work with on a partnership level, people that have done the right thing by me and have worked for me for many years now. And I think the next step for me is to involve them.
You seem to open more venues?
To open more venues and to have an interest in the business.
But as you expand, though, when you go beyond 2 venues, 3, 4, 5, and you know a lot of the big groups in Australia, they've got big investors.
They
to
do.
have that sort of scale, it's very, very hard to do it on your own money.
Yes and no. I mean, look, investors are there. Silent investors are there. Mate, you're working for them, basically. Mate, I don't run my businesses like that. I'll try to do it on my own, and I would involve my people.
The ones that you feel that you want to say thank you to.
The ones that have done the right thing by me for many years now, and it's time to give something back.
And give something back is going to partnership.
Yeah, we're only getting older, mate. You know, we're getting older, and, you know, you got to give these kids that have just, you know, worked so hard for you, you got to give them a chance to get in there.
It all comes around in a circle. It's that energy that you're giving forward. So someone gave you an opportunity, whether you started at Hilton, whether you started at Hurricanes, buying your first cafe, it always comes back in full circle. And to see people like you worked for, and I remember I used to run, I don't know if you remember this, Andrew, I used to run my Christmas parties when I had my Sydney office at Hurricanes. Do you remember that? At the Darling Harbour?
No. I was probably working there at that time. Was I?
You were, yeah.
Yes.
And I remember next door was Granides.
Correct.
And I'd have, it wasn't big, maybe 10, 15 people of my staff. Yeah. I had an office, I don't even remember. I think my office might have been in Strathfield. John booked it. He was my national manager at the time. And I had 1, if not 2 Christmas parties at that. And to see the Hurricane brand grow, and I remember it expanded to, there was another store. Where was the...
Well, I had the pleasure in opening up Darling Harbour, Top Rides.
Top Ride was the other one, I remember.
So, I was behind Top Ride as well. And then, then they opened a few other ones. Obviously, I had left after Top Rides.
And the boys now, you've told me, have got a handful of stores each. They've got over 10 stores of this brand.
Yeah, I believe they're doing very well. And, you know.
What do you think is their secret to building such a successful brand? You've seen it, you've worked in it, so you actually know.
Just great food, and again, hands-on operators. You know, it's a family-owned restaurant. I'm very lucky to be one of 2 franchises, and
the rest still owned.
The rest are all privately owned, and I don't believe that. I'm not really sure what their plans are, but not for me to say. But
and the brand is so consistent. How do you think they've been able to maintain such a consistent taste in their food?
Mate, policies, recipes, everything's by the book. I mean, their product is amazing.
So Andrew, being in hospitality, everyone spoke about it so many times, but how did you navigate through the most challenging period in hospitality, which was COVID? What did you do different?
Well, firstly, we learned how to run a business from zero. We learned a lot, put it that way. We learned a lot through COVID, whether it was managing dollar by dollar. Just, look, it was a tough time. And look, it was a hard time, but also, in a way, it was good to operate on the other side of the scale.
Which means?
Which means like you're running your business from bare minimum.
So I usually use an analogy. It gave you a chance to lift up the hood of the bonnet and actually look what's under. You're actually forced to. You had no choice. You actually were forced to.
You're so much better in words than what I am, Chris, but yes.
So basically, did you use any of the apps as well to help your revenue? Did you? How did you keep your staff?
Look, we kept all our staff. We did whatever we could to support
government subsidies and all that stuff.
Subsidies and all that sort of stuff. They were all getting that. We stayed open. We were lucky enough to have the 2 venues. So we actually closed the one venue and we renovated it. So we used that time to renovate the Social Brew. We did breakfast, lunch and dinner. So we combined both menus together. And we managed to support, I would say, most of our staff. And yeah, look, we did what we had to do. We were doing takeaway menus and we were doing takeaway boxes. We just did what we had to do.
You were one of the fortunate ones that actually, I was smart and worked through all that. A lot of the businesses, great hospitality businesses, didn't make it through the other end.
Well, look, it was hard because obviously our second business was not established yet. We only had opened for 6 weeks before COVID actually hit. So there was no local clientele. People didn't know we were here. So it was tougher in the one restaurant rather than the cafe. And that's when we decided to rebrand and change to the Hurricanes.
Obviously, you're entrusted in the brand to have the Hurricanes brand in Pyrmont. Yep. Tell us where your 2 locations are. Obviously, we're sitting in one of them.
We're in Pyrmont. So both our venues are, I'd say, 50 meters apart. So, yeah, shop 1, 2 to 14 Bun Street for Hurricanes Grill and Rotisserie in Pyrmont.
What are you most known? What would you say Hurricane is most known for? Their ribs.
Ribs, mate.
Of course.
You come to Hurricanes
Social
for
Brew.
Their ribs. Social Brew, 224 Harris Street, Pyrmont. Great staff, great vibe, great food.
What are some of the best sellers at the moment now?
Mate, there's some sellers that have actually been on our menu since day one that people just won't let us take off.
Which is what?
So we've got our smoked salmon dish that comes on pita bread, za'atar buttermilk dressing, mixed leaves. One of our most popular dishes from day one. People just won't let us take that off. Yeah, a couple of other dishes, mate. Like, we've got a spin on the eggs Benedict, and we've got a couple of spins on some, we've got our loaded double, for example. That's a simple ham and cheese sandwich, but we load it with 3 different cheeses and double smoked ham and a boiled egg, bechamel cream on top. And
I've got to come and check them out.
Yeah.
So I've been there before. So do yourself a favor. If you're in Sydney, if you're in Pyrmont, come and check out Social Brew. And the Hurricanes, their stores are amazing. They have great food. So Andrew, as always, it's custom on our guest. First of all, thank you very much for being on the podcast.
Problem,
it's a pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
I love having great operators.
Thank you.
I'm very proud of what you've achieved, not only with one venue, but 2. Look forward to all your future successes. But as it's a custom, ready for our quick fire questions, Mr. Andrew?
Oh, my God.
What's one song that always comes to mind that gets you in a good mood?
Oh, my God. One song.
I don't even know this one about you.
Mambo number 5.
Well, look, in your case, it would be Mucho number 5. For the Greeks, don't understand that, but here we go. If you could master any instrument, what would it be?
Piano.
Piano? What's your favorite meal of the day? Breakfast, lunch, or dinner?
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
So any meal. What's your favorite meal?
I'd say breakfast.
Okay. If you could travel to one point in history, where would you travel?
One point in history. Oh, I don't think I want to, mate.
Back to Cyprus when we were kids?
I don't know if I want to. I mean, I wouldn't want to change a thing, to be honest. I can't answer that one.
Okay.
Chris.
This one I'm keen to hear. What's the weirdest food you've ever tried?
Lamb's tongue.
Lamb's tongue.
Never again.
Ooh. Coffee or tea?
Oh, coffee, mate. Tea, please.
What's a skill that you think everyone should have?
Riding motorcycles.
What are you going to say?
One that you don't have, my friend.
I definitely don't. What's the best vacation you've ever been on?
Japan.
What's one word your friends will use to describe you?
Hard worker.
Hard worker.
Yeah.
I'd say kind and giving.
Okay.
What's a hidden talent of yours that people don't know about you?
A hidden talent. I don't have any talents, Chris. You know me.
That's true. Well, he can't play blackjack.
Actually, I like to cook a lot.
He's a great cook.
Yeah.
Now, if you had one superpower, what would it be?
Superpower?
If you had one superpower, what would it be and why?
I'd like to fly.
Like to fly. All right. Andrew, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much have you enjoyed being on the podcast?
Mate, I've had heaps of fun. Thank you. First podcast, probably the last one too. But
First podcast, absolutely honoured that you're on there, Andrew. See you tonight for dinner.
Thank you, mate.